This is Land of Havilah, 1 Samuel 29. Saul consulted the medium of Endor in the last chapter and found out he would die in the upcoming battle. Now the text switches to what David did coming up to the battle. He's in the opposing army protecting Achish. David's in a terrible jam. How can he support Achish against Israel? Verse 1. Now the Philistines gathered together all their armies to Aphek, and the Israelites encamped by the spring which is in Jezreel. Comment: the Israelites and Philistines have repositioned their camps a little bit since last mention. Verse 2. The lords of the Philistines passed on by hundreds and by thousands, and David and his men passed on in the rear with Achish. Comment: the Philistines are preparing for the battle, marching in formation. Either they're moving from one location to another, or they're just reviewing the troops for organizational purposes. David and his men are in the rear as Achish's personal protective unit. Verse 3. Then the princes of the Philistines said, "What about these Hebrews?" Comment: Achish isn't the only Philistine bigwig on the battlefield. The other commanders are giving him a hard time about David and his men. They don't trust those Hebrews. No doubt they still remember the Battle of Michmash, the time Jonathan climbed the cliff, put them to flight, and all the Philistines' Hebrew allies defected back to Israel, 1 Samuel 14:21. But Achish has confidence in David, as he tells his fellow Philistines coming up, still in verse 3. Achish said to the princes of the Philistines, "Isn't this David, the servant of Saul, the king of Israel, who has been with me these days, or rather these years, and I have found no fault in him since he fell away to today?" Comment: David fell away from Israel more than a year ago, and Achish thinks he's been raiding Israel ever since. Verse 4. But the princes of the Philistines were angry with him, and the princes of the Philistines said to him, "Make the man return, that he may go back to his place where you have appointed him." Comment: they say, "Send David back to Ziklag," still in verse 4. "And let him not go down with us to battle, lest in battle he become an adversary to us. For with what should this fellow reconcile himself to his Lord? Should it not be with the heads of these men?" Comment: they say David could reconcile himself to Saul by turning on the Philistines. Furthermore, they say, verse 5, "Isn't this David of whom people sang to one another in dances, saying, 'Saul has slain his thousands and David his 10,000s'? Comment: David has slain 10,000s of Philistines. He's even famous among them. He's been killing them right and left, starting with the battle in the valley of Elah when he killed Goliath, and all the time he was in Saul's service, and even after that when he saved the city of Keilah. Verse 6. Then Achish called David and said to him, "As Yahweh lives, you have been upright, and your going out and your coming in with me in the army is good in my sight, for I have not found evil in you since the day of your coming to me to this day. Nevertheless, the Lord's don't favor you. Therefore now return and go in peace, that you not displease the lords of the Philistines." Comment: Achish says you have to go back to Ziklag. Verse 8. David said to Achish, "But what have I done? What have you found in your servant so long as I have been before you to this day, that I may not go and fight against the enemies of my lord the king?" Comment: David claims he wants to fight the Israelites, but that can't be true. David's the future king of Israel. Israel belongs to God, Deuteronomy 7:6. And David has said, quote, "Yahweh forbid that I should stretch out my hand against Yahweh's anointed," 1 Samuel 26:11. No doubt at this moment, as Achish is telling David to go home, David recognizes that Yahweh is rescuing him from his moral dilemma. As the Lord's Prayer says, "Lead me not into temptation, but deliver me from evil." Man of faith that David is, he's just been going along with Achish the whole time because he had no other choice. And he knew he was in a moral dilemma that he couldn't solve himself, but he also knew that Yahweh would step in and solve it for him. Thanks to Yahweh, David will not have to fight Israel. 1 Corinthians 10:3, if it looks like we're stuck in a place where we're going to have to commit a sin to get by, we're wrong. God will be sure to show us the way to get out of our situation without sinning. Quote, "God is faithful, who will not allow you to be tempted beyond what you are able, but with the temptation will provide the way of escape also, so that you will be able to endure it." End quote. So there is a way of escape from temptation without sinning. God's faithful. He will show us that way. If we can't see some little crack by which we can escape, he'll make a crack and show it to us. God didn't show David the way until the last minute, but he did show it. So there's never any justification why we have to commit even one more sin. Verse 9. Achish answered David, I know that you are good in my sight as an angel of God. Notwithstanding, the princes of the Philistines have said, He shall not go up with us to the battle. Therefore now rise up early in the morning with the servants of your Lord who have come with you, and as soon as you are up early in the morning and have light, depart. So David rose up early, he and his men, to depart in the morning to return into the land of the Philistines, and the Philistines went up to Jezreel. Comment: David and his men will be going home before the battle begins. Father, lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Get us out of all our jams. Amen. 1 Samuel 30 is next at landofhavilah.net, 1 Samuel 30. This is the map of 1 Samuel 29. The Israelites were camped at Gilboa in the last chapter. This is Mount Gilboa, which overlooks the Jezreel Valley. The valley separates Samaria from Galilee. This chapter placed the Israelite camp at Jezreel, which is at the foot of Mount Gilboa, so it's in the same place as the last time, or virtually the same place. The Philistines were camping at Shunem last time. This is modern Shunem. This chapter places the Philistine camp at Aphek, unknown location, but no doubt still somewhere on the plain to give advantage to the Philistine chariots. 1 Samuel 30 is next.